Good biscuits.
Let's see.
You want something about biscuits?
I ain't having my own biscuit. What did wife say? On life.
Oh, right. Oh, you go eat your corn?
You go eat your cornbread?
Written in the stars, you, me, forever, yeah. You, me, written in the stars.
What's up, y'all?
Hey.
I'm Jay.
Shani. That's Hayden.
Cracking his crabs.
Mm-hmm. So, sorry for Hayden.
Yes, ma'am.
Just try biting it, please.
Okay.
Sorry for eating on the camera, y'all. But
I mean, they do mukbangs.
yeah, but this is not that. I mean, not that there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not. But so I'm saying, if folks sit right here and just watch people eat,
watching this and people
watching, listen to people eat, I haven't figured it out yet. But
then this is okay. Y'all cool with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're coming to y'all today with is
our food distracting?
people always eat.
Yeah. I would be like, what they eating?
So what we're coming to talk about today is I don't know how y'all do it because I can't eat.
While talk?
Mm-hmm.
Because we learned not to eat and talk,
At the same time.
but we're eating and talking at the same time right now.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna hold off for a second, and then when she's talking, I'll eat.
Okay.
All right. So basically, today we're coming to talk to you all about unschooling. And so, if you've never heard of unschooling, it is essentially where you are homeschooling your kids. I guess you are allowing your kids to educate themselves at home. But you're allowing them to be the not good.
Sorry, y'all. That's our hand dryer. That was our hand dryer. Bruh, like, do y'all? So, those of you who have kids, like,
Right?
do your kids just they make all the noise in the world, like when you're trying to do something?
Especially when you're trying to record a video.
Bruh, I feel like he just was thinking, like, what else could I do to make some noise right now?
Because actually he wants to be in the video.
Yes, and so he's like being in the video without being in it. Anyway, so unschooling.
So basically, it is an approach to educating your kids while letting them really, I don't want to say be the deciding factor, but essentially you
They get to weigh in.
they get to, I mean, honestly it's really hard to define because many people approach it in a different way. Yeah. But in this house, how we are defining how we are defining it is that we're allowing Jaden and Kaden to
guide their learning based off of what they're interested in.
Thank you. I couldn't figure out the right words to say. So going based off of their interests, we're allowing them to kind of spearhead their education off of that.
Great word.
And so, so that's just really where we are. And so we wanted to come and kind of talk to you all about just this whole process because I know that some people have been wondering, like, how have we been doing with homeschooling? Yeah. You know, what's been going on with it? Is it working? Is it not? And just to be real, and like why we even started it. So, for starters, y'all know we all went to virtual learning at the beginning of last year. Not the beginning, but y'all know with COVID hit, we all went to virtual learning. And so,
you want to eat that?
We all went to virtual learning, and so from that point, like we left, the boys were in 3rd grade last year. They finished the year. Wasn't much learning happening. I think with anyone, honestly.
Yeah.
Because everyone was really new. As teachers, we were new. As students, they were new.
To the whole virtual process.
So all of it was new. So fast forward to the beginning of the school year. The boys started the school year, and they just were not engaged. They were not invested, and so it was like, honestly, and then it was like once they got off, once they got out of school, it was like we then had to teach them what they were supposed to learn in school.
Yeah.
And so
because they were zombies, like at the computer, just like.
I think they were zombies, but I also think that it was just like, how much are you really teaching? I don't know. Elementary is just really different. And maybe it's just our boys. I don't know. But needless to say, we had to then teach them when they got offline. Because they would be like, we didn't learn this or we didn't learn that. So I'm like, why your teacher say you do this? So they like got to go research Ludlow Taylor and research why the school is named Ludlow Taylor, and the research the fact that he had slaves. And they just got to 4th grade. And so
it was just a lot. It seemed like, I think the problem we encountered was what we experienced as teachers, in that a lot of districts kind of had the expectation that as a teacher you proceed with the material, but we were in a new space, and so a lot of that information didn't really translate virtually, because it's not as simple as, okay, just show the slides now through the screen and then go over it with the kids that way, because a lot of them get lost through that screen barrier. And our boys, we saw them getting lost through the screen. It's like, and they would get up motivated, like, because they know how important education is to us. We stress it to them, and so they value it. But and we saw them trying. We really did. And it was just the level of engagement, and that's no fault on the teachers. It's just virtual learning doesn't necessarily work for a lot of kids, especially young kids, especially when it's a new type of learning for them. They hadn't gotten used to it, and it was like dive right into curriculum and material.
And it really a boys. I don't know if it's, I'm gonna say African American boys for sure. I don't want to like put them all in one box, right? But most of the ones I have encountered, they learn. They have to learn by doing. They have to learn by engaging, and that screen just wasn't really. Nothing was happening, and no learning was taking place. And so, we basically ended up making the decision to take them out, since we were still having to teach them. So y'all,
my baby, she
go
researched.
Coco. So I ended up researching like
everything.
Yeah, like if y'all understand the amount of stuff that I day in and day out, I was just up all night just researching. All right, so what's a good curriculum for this? What's a good curriculum for this? How do we do this? And then most of, as a teacher, I'm a teacher, but then
you teach middle school.
I teach middle school, but I've taught elementary, but it was still like I just wanted to make sure that I had the best curriculum for the boys. And what I really found out,
you had the opportunity to choose it.
Yeah. So I really found out that there's really no best curriculum, because it's really about what works for you and your kids. But after spending quite a bit of money,
quite a bit,
I realized that we probably don't need all that stuff. I mean, it is what it is.
I used to be like, we need that too.
So we probably could put, because I actually started a video. We did a video on me.
We're gonna post.
And we're gonna post about the curriculum that we chose. We never posted it just because
it was a sign.
It was.
God knew. Like, hold up.
So we got to the point where, and I know we're probably rambling, and so I'm sorry. But we basically got to the point where the boys were still, a little bit more learning was taking place, but they were still slightly pushing back. And I think it was just the approach. So even though we took them out of school, we were still schooling them in the way that they learn in school. It was
Yeah.
like, all right, you start with math, then you have spelling,
Yep.
then you have English, then you have vocabulary, then you have geography,
Yep.
and then you have history,
Subject,
then
subject,
you have
subject.
like boom, 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 boom.
And naturally, as teachers, it's like we're used to that flow. So
Mhm.
like, even when we pull them out to homeschool, we automatically default to that flow because
Right.
it's like we're programmed in that way because that's how we're expected to,
Mhm.
you know, teach our students.
Can I have some of that?
Yep. It's Old Bay cocktail sauce. This cocktail sauce is good.
Well, you didn't give me any.
Well, normally you're not a cocktail sauce fan.
I'm not, but
Yes,
that's
sir.
okay.
Yeah, because this that Old Bay.
So,
Old Bay.
so basically, we could probably put a snapshot or we call it B-roll
Uh-huh.
of us, you know, of the curriculum that we have, and we still have that information. I'm probably going to stuff that we haven't opened. I'm probably going to send it back and maybe sell the rest because we haven't really touched a lot of it.
Yeah.
But needless to say, we got to a point where we were like, all right, what else can we do? So of course me going online again. What else are other people doing? And so I kept saying this unschooling, and even though it wasn't the first time I saw unschooling, I saw it a while ago, and it was slightly intriguing then, but I didn't have time to really research it enough to be trying to do something different. So so needless to say, because this is our second time homeschooling the boys, honestly.
The first time was so tragic. They were maybe 6.
Mhm.
It was tragic because we were also in an entrepreneur space, and I don't know why we thought that we were going to be able to teach early elementary and beginning stage build businesses because I mean, you know, if you have early childhood kids, 6 years old, they need hands-on, like in everything pretty much. And so we were needing to teach the foundation. In teaching foundations, you have to be, like I said, hands-on, and we just did not really have the time to do it. And so we found ourselves feeling like, okay,
It was a tug of war.
yeah, like,
It was like either we were doing this, dropping the ball here, doing this, dropping the ball here.
exactly. So then we were like, okay. They ended up going back into schools. Go, Max. You know, dogs are always trying to be around when you're eating. Sit. So they ended up going back into schools, and so we really felt like this time we knew what homeschooling looked like before, and so we knew that going into it this time we didn't
Want to do.
Yeah, we didn't want it to be a situation where something was slacking. You know, we wanted there to still be continuous education for them, no gaps. And so honestly, it resulted in like more work for us, but we were thugging it out. We were staying up at night, lesson planning for our teacher jobs, but then also lesson planning for the boys, putting together material. You know, we were so excited about things that they would be doing, and they just, I mean, they were partially excited, but then
Yeah, because I don't want to. We don't want to paint the light like our boys just hate school. Because that's
No.
not it.
it's just that we really could see their interests peaked in different areas.
Yeah.
It's like when they would move on to a certain subject that they were really interested in, then they started to roll with it. They were doing it. They were able to work independently. But when they got to subjects that, you know, maybe there weren't as much interest there, they needed like so much
Guidance.
in that just because.
But even they needed the guidance in that space. But even offering the guidance, they still were not.
It's
motivated.
like it seemed like it wasn't long term sticking.
And that's the biggest
ultimately,
thing. And so
yeah.
that's actually ultimately why we switched to potentially
Unschooling.
trying to try out the unschooling, because what we found out was that we can teach them all of these things, but honestly we go through 12 years of, you know, K through 12 primary education that we have to go through. And then by the end of it, it's like, how much of it do we really retain?
Mm-hmm.
We saw a post the other day that said
Wow, I'm
really glad that I learned about
parallelograms.
They really helped me during parallelogram season this year. And so honestly, it's like, if you're not going into a field where you use parallelograms, I don't really even know what field that is. Maybe mathematician.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
But it's like certain things, a lot of us have felt that way ourselves. Like certain things we've learned in school, we're like, okay, when would I use this? And you see that some of the things you end up using them more if you decide to go further down that path, career-wise, which I get it, you should absolutely learn more about that thing. But if that's not your path, it kind of seems like, well, why waste the time to, further expound upon those subjects when you could get filled up and learn more about something you might actually be interested in, and just further grow that and dive deeper into that. And so that's what led us to this whole, well, let's try unschooling.
Let's try it.
See how it works.
The biggest thing we know that the boys need is reading.
Yep.
And the basic skills in math. We know that they need those. In terms of science, they will get that with their daily engagement and life. In terms of social,
and they love science, by the way.
They do, because actually that's kind of like, we're just kind of going with where they go. But right now they've been really like waking up and wanting to learn about like the rarest animals and all this random stuff that they want to learn about. And they type up reports about what they learn. Some people would say, they don't make their kids type up a report. For me, at least in the beginning, the kids that we have, we need a report. Like, what did you really learn about it? Or were you just sitting there watching the video and maybe you switched to Roblox and started playing Roblox or something? So we need some accountability.
And you know what? Actually, what was really dope about the report, remember when you were doing that lesson with them and they had to write a letter about the scariest experience or whatever, and that just was kind of hard for them to do in recalling their experience, right? But like when they were watching the videos and their little reports, it wasn't just an informational report. As they're typing, they are including their reactions to some of the things that they are learning.
And this whatever animal, and it had the biggest teeth.
Yeah, like
LOL. I was so scared if I see this animal in real life.
Right. So they're using exclamatory language in their writing, and they learn more about the use of that type of language by actually doing it, as opposed to, now here's this lesson on exclamatory language, this is what it is, these are examples, now let's go over. Like it's more of a learning by doing through what you're interested in.
Right.
And that's really the biggest thing.
That's the biggest thing. And so that's really how we got here. We are on this journey, so we will update you all and continue to let you know, how it's working for them. Maybe have them come on here
and tell you how
it's working for them.
I'm sure they would love that.
I'm sure. So ultimately, if y'all have any questions about our unschooling journey or why we started homeschooling, just let us know. We will try to answer those questions.
For sure.
But I really am excited about the journey. So, we have switched from homeschooling to unschooling, and we are trying to figure out how that's going to work for our kids, because ultimately we want them to be prepared when they graduate or turn 18 to
decide the direction
that they want to go in, whatever that direction is. And so that's really all we have today. Sorry we were rambling a little bit, but we promised y'all a video every single week.
That's right.
And we know that this has been a topic that we've needed to talk about and answer, and so we decided to come on and talk about it. Not that much detail, because we don't really know what you want to know.
Right.
So if you want to know something else about it, maybe you can again drop that in the comment section.
And we'll keep y'all posted.
Yeah.
You know what I feel like? Those memes where it's like how it started, how it's going. And normally, like, how it started is all nice and put together and pretty, and then how it's going is like, everything is a complete wreck.
That's how it was with homeschool.
That's exactly, like, we should have made a meme for the homeschool.
Yeah, that's how it was going for us.
Yeah, so something had to give.
Something.
Yeah, and we did not just want to throw them back into
We
the
are not.
system. So
Because that's a whole nother conversation about the system. But because we are still teachers, we're gonna go ahead and
we could
Keep
go
our
ahead
mouth
and
shut
keep
on
that
that
on the hush for now. Yep.
so.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, y'all. We love y'all. We thank you all for rocking with us.
Of course.
And we'll see y'all again next week.
Yep.
Peace.
Peace.
Written in the stars, you, me, forever, yeah, yeah. You,